Hello and welcome back to Daily English with Lily and Leo. I'm Lily.
And I'm Leo. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. New episode every week, all designed to help you learn real, natural English.
Today we're talking about something that I think gets overlooked quite a lot. Small acts of kindness. Not the big, dramatic gestures. The small, quiet ones.
The ones where someone didn't have to do anything, but they did anyway.
Exactly. And honestly, I think those are the ones that stick with you the most.
What made you want to talk about this today?
Okay, so my landlord, she lives upstairs, remember? I've mentioned her before.
The one who left vegetables from her garden outside your door.
Yes. And once she left a whole pot of soup. I had a terrible week. I hadn't said anything to her. She just noticed.
She could have just knocked and asked if you were okay, but instead she made soup.
She made soup. And it wasn't just any soup. It was the kind that takes at least 2 hours, with a little note that said, "From the garden, too."
That is one of the most thoughtful things I've ever heard.
And I realized afterward I should have gone upstairs and thanked her properly. I wrote her a note, which felt insufficient, but I didn't know what else to do.
A note is not nothing. I would have just eaten the soup and felt vaguely guilty for a week.
That tracks. But it made me think, when was the last time I did something like that for someone else?
That's the thing about receiving kindness. It makes you reflect on what you give.
It really does. So what about you? Any recent acts of kindness, given or received?
Well, you remember the smoke alarm situation.
The scorched onions, the biscuit distraction?
Yes. So the alarm went off and it was not quiet. My neighbor knocked. I thought she was coming to complain, honestly.
She wasn't?
She had a replacement battery in her hand. She said, "These always die at the worst moment." And she just changed it. No fuss, no lecture about cooking.
That is so considerate, because she absolutely could have come over just to tell you off.
She would have had every right to, but instead she brought a battery. I should have offered her tea, at least.
Did you?
I thanked her and closed the door. I was still in shock about the onions.
You're going to think about that battery forever, aren't you?
I might have already bought her a plant.
You bought her a plant.
She might find it outside her door this week, allegedly.
That's a gesture. A proper one.
What's the difference, do you think, between a gesture and something that just becomes expected?
I think a gesture is when someone goes out of their way. When it's not required, not obligatory, just chosen.
Like Thomas giving me 3 baskets.
Yes, tell that story.
So Thomas, he weaves baskets. His grandmother taught him. And one time I mentioned I had cables everywhere, no storage at all. The next time I saw him, he had 3 baskets in a bag.
He made them. He didn't buy them.
He made them with his hands for a cable problem he overheard me complaining about.
That's completely lovely.
And they're beautiful. One of them has the game controllers in it now. The point is, he didn't have to do that. He went out of his way. That's why I still think about it.
There's something about handmade things. You can't buy the time that went into it.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it stick. You know the person chose to do it.
I had a moment like that with Anna once. She was going through a hard month. She had mentioned it briefly, but didn't make a big deal of it. And I just brought her food. Knocked, left it at the door, didn't ask to come in.
You didn't want to intrude.
Right. She might have needed company. She might have needed space. I couldn't tell, so I just left the food and sent a message saying it was there.
What did she say?
She sent me a voice message that was mostly just her trying not to cry, and then she wrote me a poem. I still have it.
Oh, sometimes you don't know how much weight something carries for the other person.
You couldn't have known in advance. You could have stayed home and felt bad that you didn't know what to do, but instead you just did the small thing.
And the small thing was the right thing.
Often it is. And Mia is like this too. She doesn't make a fuss about it. She just does things.
Like what?
She left a small painting outside a friend's door once. Just a little canvas, painted on one side with a color and a mood written on the back. The friend was having a hard winter.
She didn't even give it in person.
She said the friend might have felt obligated to react a certain way if she was standing there, so she left it and walked away.
That's Actually, that's incredibly thoughtful. She thought about what the other person needed, not what would feel satisfying for herself.
That's the difference, I think. Real consideration is about the other person's experience, not your own.
That takes more self-awareness than I usually have at 8 in the evening.
You bought a plant, Leo. You're doing fine.
I am going to keep that plant as evidence of my character.
Preserved as proof. What about Dazed? He had that brutal stretch during the cold snap.
When the pipes were freezing across the whole city, he was barely sleeping.
He mentioned once that a client left coffee and a bag of pastries on the doorstep of the third job he did that day, with a note saying, "Thank you for coming so quickly."
He told you that?
He mentioned it in passing, but I could tell it had stayed with him. He said he should have kept the note, but it went through the wash in his work bag.
Oh, no.
Right? But that person didn't have to do it. They could have just paid for the job and said thank you on the doorstep. They went out of their way.
Gratitude costs almost nothing to give, but can land really heavily on the other person.
And it matters when it's specific. Not just thanks, but thank you for coming so quickly in the cold. The specificity makes the other person feel seen.
Can I ask something slightly uncomfortable?
Go ahead.
Do you think some people are just naturally more thoughtful, or is it something you can learn?
I think most of the time it comes down to attention. My landlord notices things. She sees when I've been quiet for a few days. I don't think that's a personality type. I think that's just paying attention.
So you could train yourself to do it.
I think so. Like, you're at the shop, and your friend mentioned offhand last week that they love a specific kind of tea. You could buy a box. It's almost nothing.
I would have forgotten by the time I reached the till.
I know, but that's why it's about attention. You have to actually listen when people talk.
Not a skill that comes naturally to everyone in this room.
No, but it gets easier if you practice. I think of it a bit like the 1% thing, actually.
You do small things consistently and they add up.
One thoughtful thing, one text to check in, one "I saw this and thought of you."
I sent Julia a photo once, just a canal that looked like the ones from your city. She sent back 17 voice messages.
That's Julia, yes.
I might have slightly regretted it, but I might have also been very touched.
Both can be true at the same time.
Both were extremely true.
Can I say one more thing before we do vocabulary?
Of course.
I think receiving kindness gracefully is actually its own skill. Some people find it uncomfortable. They deflect, they say, "Oh, you didn't have to," and then immediately change the subject.
I definitely do that.
And sometimes it makes the other person feel like they did something wrong. When someone gives you a gesture, letting it land, saying, "That actually meant a lot. Thank you." That's kind too, in its own way.
I should have just stood at the door and said, "This is so thoughtful, thank you," instead of closing it and staring at my onions.
There's still time. She lives on the same floor.
The plant is my delayed thank you.
The plant is lovely. Okay, vocabulary?
Vocabulary. Listeners, we've already used all 5 words today. Go back and see if you caught them.
First word, thoughtful. It means caring about other people's feelings and needs. That was such a thoughtful thing to do. She's always thoughtful. She remembers the small details.
Second word, gesture. A gesture is a small action that shows how you feel. Bringing those pastries was a lovely gesture. It wasn't a big gesture, just a text, but it meant a lot.
Third word, considerate. If you're considerate, you think about how your actions affect other people. He fixed the problem without making a fuss. Very considerate. Try to be more considerate of the people around you.
Fourth, go out of your way. This is a phrasal expression meaning to do more than is expected or required. She went out of her way to help me. You really didn't need to go out of your way like that.
And fifth, gratitude. The feeling of being thankful and the expression of it. She expressed her gratitude with a poem. A little gratitude goes a long way.
Grammar. Today, modal verbs in the past. These come up constantly in everyday English, and especially when you're talking about kindness, because kindness is often about things that didn't have to happen.
Right. She could have just said hello, meaning she had that option, but she chose something else instead.
So let's break it down. Could have. You use this when something was possible in the past, but it didn't happen. She could have stayed home. I could have walked past without stopping.
Should have. This is for advice or regret about the past, something that would have been the right thing to do looking back. I should have thanked her properly. You should have told me sooner.
Would have. For imagining a different past, what the result would have been if things had gone differently. I would have been completely lost without that. It would have taken me days to sort out alone.
And might have. For uncertainty or speculation about the past. You're not sure, but it's possible. She might have heard us talking. He might have already noticed.
Quick practice. I'll give you a situation. You finish the sentence. Ready?
Ready.
Your friend helped you move to a new flat. You didn't say thank you properly. What do you say now?
I should have thanked you so much more. You did everything, and I just disappeared.
Good. Now, you didn't know your friend was having a difficult time. You feel guilty about it.
I could have checked in earlier. I didn't know, but I could have asked.
And one more. Imagine you had no helpful neighbor with the battery. What would it have been like?
I would have stood on a chair trying to reach it for 20 minutes and then given up entirely.
Accurate. The structure to remember. Modal verb, then have, then the past participle. Could have done, should have said, would have helped, might have missed it.
Don't say I should have went. It's I should have gone. Past participle. This is one of the most common mistakes at B1 and B2 level.
Practice by thinking about your own week. Was there something you should have said? Something you could have done for someone? Use your real life. It makes the grammar stick.
Motivation. And today, I want to tie it to the theme.
Go for it.
A lot of the kindness we talked about today wasn't complicated. It was a battery, 3 baskets, a pot of soup, a small painting left outside a door, a photo of a canal sent on a random Wednesday.
The small stuff.
The small stuff is not small. It's what people remember. Not always the grand gesture, but the person who noticed.
And I think there's an English connection here, too. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do in a language you're learning is just show up. Send the message even if the grammar isn't perfect. Make the call even if you hesitate at the start.
People remember that you tried.
1% every day.
Small steps, every single day.
Oh, jar update. Someday jar.
How much this week?
€5.60. Home coffee 4 days in a row. Biscuit supervised every transaction.
Biscuit is genuinely the best financial manager you've ever had.
She sits next to it and gives me a look. It works better than any app.
And the mystery box?
Still sealed. I did think about it this week, though. I thought, what if it contains something I could have given someone, like a spare cable? Someone out there might have needed a cable.
That is the most creative excuse not to open it I have ever heard.
I'm practicing modal verbs in the past. The box might have contained something useful. That's grammar, not procrastination.
Incredible. Pizza this week?
Dinner? Warm, proper, considerate dinner. Thoughtful of you to ask.
Cold, Thursday morning, with tea. Gesture of self-kindness.
That is not how any of those words work.
Gratitude for the pizza I gave myself, Leo. Look it up.
I'll allow it, just this once.
Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode was useful, subscribe. We're here every week, and it genuinely helps us when you do.
And this week's comment prompt? Tell us about a small act of kindness you gave or received. Could be recent, could be something from years ago that still sticks with you. We read everything.
We do read everything, and sometimes the stories in the comments are the best part.
1% every day, everyone.
1% every day. See you next week.